Joining me now is somebody that nobody knows.
Yeah.
Unless you are an absolute psycho listener of 97.5 The Fanatic, I assume that you would not know who Josh Raibick is. But me and Josh met working at the Fanatic. We both were producers at the same time. You stayed for what, like 2 years?
Yep.
Okay. You were a coward, and then you left. But yeah, we met training. I had to train you.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell the story?
I kind of thought you were an asshole.
Yeah,
Like that's how everything started. I mean, you were very to yourself. Anyways, so everyone kind of gets the picture.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of
Yeah.
all, I mean, I like how you say like I kind of thought, and like as if like I'm not still probably the same way, but I hated training because we were forced to train people that we didn't know to answer phones, which took all of 30 seconds. You could figure out how to answer a phone and say what's your name, where you're calling from, and I didn't like babysitting. And then I asked you if you liked MMA, and we hit it off. At least I thought we hit it off. Probably not though.
As soon as I told you I liked MMA, I saw your face just turn, and you just looked right on over, and you were like, "Do you like Ariel Helwani?" I was like, "Nah, not really." You're like, "Okay, we're good."
Yeah, because nobody at the station liked MMA, but you were pretty much a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and then you would produce, and I think we produced like most of the same shows, like Devon and stuff at night and weekends and stuff. But I needed to get you on because the people don't know this, but we end up meeting up quite a bit to watch the UFC fights. But during in between fights, when they're showing you the same vignette for the 75th time, and Joe Rogan's telling you that every time you see this guy, it just keeps getting better, I will ask you about the WWE or the wrestling industry because I was so into wrestling when I was younger. Like I was a psychopath that would rent like pay-per-views and I'd rewatch them over and over again. I'd be able to tell you what matches started. Like I was so in deep into the WWE culture, and then I got out of it. But I've always found the industry very fascinating. So like when
there is a lot of crossover because before a lot of people know what a real fight looks like, that's when most people get into watching WWF, now WWE.
Yeah, I mean, my first, I guess, memory, or my inkling that the UFC was a thing was Ken Shamrock, and that was from the WWE or WWF at the time. But I've always found the industry really fascinating, whether it be the Netflix show, what was that called? Unreal.
Yep.
Or the LFG, the show that's basically Tough Enough, but it's not tough enough, or the documentaries and stuff. So I will pick your brain on certain things, owning up to the fact that I am very ignorant on all of this. But you are somebody that will actually go out to WrestleMania every single year. You are like embedded in it. You're hanging out with D'Lo Brown, getting tips on how to pick up women. That is not a joke. That was a serious story that we're not going to get into. Totally changed my perception on D'Lo Brown. But this past week, John Cena ends up having his final match. What were your initial thoughts when it ended? Because I've seen a lot of backlash online about it.
There's a little bit of snapping from suspending your disbelief into, okay, what do I think about the creative process? Everybody's rooting on John Cena. You want him to go out on top. As soon as he loses, the question was that the right finish? And I think it was, because you get a little bit of the kind of like the Ric Flair trying to hold on and everything, but also you're picking the right guy. You're picking the heel's heel in Gunther, who is not anybody that someone wants to root for. He wears the black tights. He's imposing. He's not going to do any flashy moves. He's from Austria, which we know a very famous historical figure that's from Austria. Don't need to dive any further into that. There's a lot of things that are not likable about him. So therefore, he is the perfect opponent to have go up against John Cena, who's probably the whitest meat babyface the industry's ever seen.
Yeah, I immediately I didn't watch the match. Full disclosure, the lead up of the year. I appreciate the fact that Cena announced that he was going to do this, but in terms of like, I didn't know there was a tournament going on. I just knew that he was going through this final year process. And truthfully, like I thought he would have finished up at WrestleMania if you're going to finish up at any place. But I guess it is kind of smart because WrestleMania sells itself, so you might as well have another event that can kind of be like the Cena show. But I initially texted you when I found out that his final match was against Gunther. And I was like, you have got to be fucking kidding me. Because, look, again, as a complete outsider who has only seen snippets of this guy, who has seen him interact on like the LFG show, who's seen interviews and stuff, dude, I don't fucking get it. Like, I don't get, like, we haven't seen a push like this for a guy since Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle was a stud, no doubt. But like he comes in the WWE, he's got like a 30-0 streak going. You know, it's like that was a definite push to make him a guy. It was the quasi WWE Goldberg streak, if you will. And from an outsider's perspective, like I don't get the push for this doughboyed Austrian with a stupid fucking nickname of the Ring General, with a stupid name in general, Gunther. I'm sorry, but I hear Gunther. I'm a millennial. I hear Gunther in the Paper Brigade. All-time great movie, by the way. So I like why him? I mean, I know you said he's like the perfect heel, but is he getting over? Like, do people actually like this dude?
No, and I think that's the exact reason why you pick someone like him. For example, so like you gave a lot of really good reasons why not to like him. There's so many likable heels though that like you even like a Dominic Mysterio who looks like Eddie Guerrero but is Rey Mysterio's son. There's parts of his character that you can actually get behind.
Yeah.
They tried in 2016 with AJ Styles to have him a heel, and it was maybe Dean Ambrose's second program as world champion. And it just didn't work. The reason why is AJ Styles was a little bit smaller in stature compared to Dean Ambrose. And then also the move set. There's a lot of aerial moves that AJ Styles does. It's difficult to get a lot of heat when a guy's doing a 450 splash out of the ring through a table, which is what he legitimately did and was winning over fans. The fans were split on this. Those are the things I think you want to avoid with the top heel. The greatest heel that we saw during the Attitude Era for as far as in-ring workers was Triple H. One of the reasons why was he worked so methodical. So like when we get over to Gunther, like the in-ring style, there is nothing flashy he does. It is an old school throwback in-ring 20 by 20 wrestler that is going to chop you down limb by limb and slowly, methodically take apart basically your favorite wrestler.
I guess my problem with him is, for starters, like his interaction on LFG just rubbed me the complete wrong way. Like he was a dick, and I didn't think he needed to be a dick.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I see the guy, I see somebody as charismatic as a greeter at the Holiday Inn. Like I don't think he's got a lick of charisma, and that's my problem. Like you bring up Dominic Mysterio, and that guy is oozing with charisma. AJ Styles oozing with charisma. And this is somebody from the outside that doesn't really watch it every single week. You know, I'll check in on like WrestleMania every once in a while, but that's about it. But like you see interviews, you see vignettes of these guys, and you can tell. And I feel like they've already made Gunther the world champion, and I feel like it didn't work. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but they've already tried this, and the like I feel like you can have, you know, it's kind of like world industry. Like you can be entertaining and not know anything about sports, or you can know a lot about sports and not be entertaining, but you can't be both. And if you want to be a superstar, you have to have both. And for him, like he might be all this methodical stuff you're talking about, but with the charisma stuff, I don't get the push to have him finish off a Mount Rushmore figure like Cena when you could have had somebody else. You know,
I think
even another legend real quick, because you know, Steve Austin, that final match wasn't announced. That was known with a few people, but like he goes out against The Rock, and that was fitting. That is right. You know, it's because it's the fucking Rock. And I think when we look back in 10 years, and again, I mean, I'm very naive with all this. I'm ignorant, but you're going to look back and go, you got to be fucking kidding me. They set that guy up to face Gunther as he's fighting on TNA.
Right. Well, I do think there's two things here. One, you do bring up a good point about the charisma. I think that becomes more of an issue when you eventually are going to have to try and turn him babyface at some point in his career, because I think that's a lot more important for the babyface. Like we've seen Triple H, like he turned after a long heel run. He became a great babyface, but a big part of that was because of the charisma. He had a lot of charisma that came with him. As far as like the world title run, I'd actually argue that Jey Uso was the one that was unsuccessful. They took it off of Gunther, gave it to him at WrestleMania, and then they said, ooh, this isn't working out the same way we thought it was going to. We have this guy that we know is steady. He's someone that I think is main event proven, a little bit better of match quality. Let's put the strap on him. Don't get me wrong. He's not going to wow you. This is not going to be CM Punk's 2012, 2013 heel run where you're going to get a couple good one-liners and your ears glued to the TV set or anything like that. But it is one where you go, okay, he's stable and he's a a good yin to some baby faces yang. And I think that's kind of with horrible terminology there, but you get my point of where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I just like you're explaining it well, but you're not selling me on why him. Like
okay, let me try better with this. So what's going to happen obviously the next night is you're going to need somebody to put out there on TV. And here's my point. This guy is at least main event proven. So he main evented night 1 of SummerSlam with CM Punk. You have him already defend a championship, the world championship at WrestleMania 41. He was in the best match of night 2 of WrestleMania 39. Here's my point. The guy is proven as far as where he is, but there's still some ceiling where he can go. So there is a point of the rub that you can get with this. Now, you mentioned Kurt Angle before. Who was his last match against? It was against Baron Corbin. And that is kind of one of the ultimate no-nos. So WWE has proven that they've had plans for Gunther and that they can push him and they can follow up on what they're doing. Because really, every one of these guys is only as good as what WWE's creative follow-up is going to be. With Baron Corbin, they basically just used you beat Kurt Angle, you ended his career. We're going to have you go out here on the mic, remind people of it for 2 months, and really not have a plan for you. You're going to be able to make a name for yourself by doing this. What ended up happening is they created a down on his luck character, and then all of a sudden he started winning money, became Happy Corbin, and then eventually ended up in catering doing nothing, and they was released a few months later. The whole point is they've proven there's been a history over the past few years of them having plans, specifically Triple H having plans for Gunther. And that's why I think this is the perfect guy, because it's not somebody that you're just going to have like an Austin Theory who has beaten John Cena before in a big match. You're not going to have one of these other guys that is not as proven now all of a sudden go over on John Cena. You don't have a plan. And then you look back 10 years from now and you're like, who beat this guy? Like a Fandango beating Chris Jericho at WrestleMania. Who was this guy and why did he go over? At least with Gunther, you have a multiple-time world champion, a guy that had one of the longest Intercontinental Championship streaks. You have a proven guy that is getting a lot of heat. He's getting reaction. When he goes out there, he gets booed. And that is the most important thing.
Oh, you cut out.
Yeah, okay. Well, where I was going with this is he's not a heel that goes out there to silence or disinterest. He's a heel that goes out there, he gets booed, he elicits heat, and that's honestly the most important thing you look for in that guy.
I miss your face. It's unfortunate. Gunther got to you. I guess my question is like, how much of it is, and look, you've been at the event, so you would know.
Right.
How much of it is he's getting booed because, hey, we're supposed to boom, he's the bad guy. And how much of it is he's getting booed because the fans are just not resonating with the bad guy. And I think there's a long history of people in the industry where you go like, he is a heel. I do not like him. I will get out there and boo him, incessantly because I'm supposed to and because he's so good at doing this. And then you have pet projects that just simply haven't worked out for whatever reason. And I wonder if this is, look, we saw it in radio. Like you would get a new program director and they find a pet project and we'd be like, they're not going to work out, but they would just push them so hard. And I wonder if this is Triple H's pet project in Gunther, where I was just surprised. I guess I feel like
I take it as eliciting a response shows that they care. And I'd rather elicit a response than get nothing. Like in radio, you talked about things where what it was like being a producer on a show where you truthfully felt like nobody was listening and the phones weren't ringing. But then you've also been
you would produce for me.
Not quite, but
you were producing.
No, but you know what I mean though. You have also been though like the producer answering phones for ones that like, hey, this is a host that draws like eardrums and eyeballs. And the phone's ringing, and a lot of it might be to tell that host that he's stupid, he's dead wrong, a lot of hate calls in there, but people are listening. And I think that's kind of it with Gunther.
All right, good. He's back. Okay. All right. So it sounds like I am kind of off base with my feelings on this, but then again, Triple H doesn't care because I'm not spending money anyway to view the product. So what the fuck does my opinion matter on it, Josh?
But to your point, if they drop the ball, you're completely right, and then I'm the guy that's just kind of speaking out of his ass. So
I just I see him and I go like, every time I've ever seen the guy, I just go like, what is special about him? And you're explaining of it, my immediate thought was, okay, so he's Joe Bland. And there's nothing wrong with being Joe Blanton. Like Joe Blanton was steady Eddie, 6 innings, 3 earned runs. Like you knew what you were getting from Joe Blanton. You know, he was fine. Like he was not an ace, but he's consistent. He was eating up innings and all that. I love Joe Blanton. I had a Joe Blanton jersey. But when I think about ending a legend's career, I would think that they would do somebody a little bit bigger, that they had more of a future with. But to your point, which, ignorance showing itself. Yeah, I mean, the Baron Corbin thing, was completely unaware. I know the name. I don't know much about him. The Chris Jericho thing with God, what stupid name was that?
Fandango.
Yeah, I remember the character. I remember thinking like, oh. All right, next question I have for you regarding the WWE universe that I just I don't get is the Joe Hendry thing. Like I don't get how this is like a thing. Like I feel like the bar, and I am as guilty as the next guy, because when you're on the outside of it, there you just see things like Yeet and like Joe Hendry, and you're like, this is the stupidest thing in the world. Like, how are people gravitating towards this? And then meanwhile, I think back to when I was 11 doing the DX chop every chance I got. So is this like, I don't even know what my question is regarding it, but like, is he good? Because every time I see him, I just like think this is the cheesiest shit in the world. Like somebody says Joe Hendry, he pops up, he's got a stupid fucking face, and we get that stupid song.
He's solid. It's just kind of how shticks are in wrestling, and it's whether that shtick lasts for 10 years or, I mean, we're probably already in like 2-3 years now at this point. I kind of lose track of time, but it's whether this is kind of something that fades out over time, where it's like, okay, it's funny, you say his name, he appears, he smiles, and that's kind of it. Like the running gag is people will be doing a promo, you just mention his name, boom, then, the music hits, he appears. Yeah. It's like, I mean, the Yeet stuff to me is a little bit more annoying, because that's like the nerdy wrestling fan base thinking they just came across like John for the first time, and they're saying something like that, and they think like, oh, if I say this, I fit in automatically. Yeah. And we know like how much of like an eye roll that can be too.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the long history of some of these guys, like even like Austin became this like joke teller, if you will, towards the end with like the what. And the character evolved from this guy that was just beating up Mr. McMahon, which was awesome. And, hell, it got a lot of people, myself included, into wrestling. And then all of a sudden, 7 years later, he's saying what every 3 words, and it's hilarious. Like I loved it. But then again, I'm watching the product at the time. I'm not on the outside of it. So,
and it's probably one of the most annoying chants that we have now with fans, because what happens every time when someone cuts a promo and they pause just like this, right in between, you get the what right away.
Yeah. Overall, though, your thoughts on Cena's career, where does he rank among the all-time greats?
He is the greatest on the microphone, I think, in the history of WWE. That is one of the ways I will remember him, because obviously right off the top of the dome, everyone's going to say The Rock. Yeah. And I agree, as far as like, if you're looking for clips and you're going to like clip farm and everything like that, The Rock is absolutely the guy you go to with that. You can see why the transition to Hollywood was so seamless for him. But as far as thinking on their feet, taking whatever's given to him, because keep in mind, The Rock did most of his stuff during the Attitude Era. A lot of that was handcuffs off. John Cena did his stuff like...
It doesn't matter what you think.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm the guy wearing a Jingle All the Way Christmas sweater, and he's probably the biggest movie star on planet Earth. So there is some truth to that. But John Cena was basically handed a lot of chicken shit and turned it into chicken salad, like basically going out there where there were written scripts, like as far as the promos, and it was a lot more heavily critiqued and things that would be changed 5 minutes beforehand. There were so many times people came out there with the best material, and the little wiggle room that they had, he was able to change things on his feet. Don't forget that when The Rock came back and they did their little 2-off WrestleMania match, as you know from seeing the documentary and everything, John Cena did call him out and told him to up his game and everything. I just always felt like John Cena, like when you think about the rap stuff that he had to do early in his career, I know that might not be everyone's cup of tea, but that's a lot of pressure when you go out there. You got to rhyme things, find things in rhythm. and make it work. Like that's a goofy ass gimmick, and he made it work. Then he turned into basically the guy that was like the face of the company, and he always had to be on. And in my opinion, The Rock was for a little period of time the face of the company, and a lot of that was when Stone Cold had the neck injury and was away for a little bit. But a lot of the time he was kind of like 1A to Austin's 1. And Stone Cold was a lot more the face. John Cena carried the brand for over a decade. Like that guy was the absolute brand. The second thing was that he's an underrated in-ring worker. He was known for the 5 moves of doom. That got kind of blown away. But then you think about CM Punk, Edge, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens. You look at some of those guys, I don't think you can list their top 3 matches without including John Cena somewhere in there. And that's kind of the end. Like every once in a while, you get a move from John Cena where you go, what the hell was that? 2013, the Raw before one of the Raws before WrestleMania, him and CM Punk. If CM Punk won, he got added to the triple threat match with, John Cena and The Rock. John Cena at the end pulls out a random Hurricane Rana into an attitude adjustment, and that's the end of the match. But who would expect a 6'2", 260-pound John Cena to pull like a Hurricane Rana out of his ass that we've never seen before? Those are the types of things that he'd do in some of these like randomly like underrated 5-star matches. And that's one of the other things I think of as well known as he is, an extremely underrated in-ring performer.
All right. So does he make your Mount Rushmore?
He does. You gotta put it this way: if we're gonna do the Mount Rushmore and we're gonna talk about like stars in the business, you got to do Hogan, Austin, and Cena, and from there you can decide and do whatever you want. But no one ever sold as much merch as those 3 guys right there, and those guys were as like Stone Cold was probably the whitest hot one of all 3 of them. But as far as like longevity, as far as your face, John Cena did it longer than anyone, even longer than Hulk Hogan with like one company. He did it longer than Hogan did.
Yeah. I mean, where does Bill Goldberg rank?
Jesus.
Oh, Bill Goldberg.
See, I see those Stephen A. Smith rankings, and obviously you watch wrestling and people always say, it's fake. Somebody lists Bill Goldberg as their greatest wrestler of all time. And I almost have to say, like, you do know these are like predetermined outcomes, right?
Wait, who did that?
Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Hand to God, he listed his top, and he's had whenever they have like a wrestler on First Take, and I don't watch First Take. It's such a crap show. Yeah. But whenever he does it, he basically like, here's my top 5 wrestlers of all time, and his 2 through 5 are not bad. It's subjective. It's pro wrestling. Who really cares? Yeah. But he gets the number 1, and he puts Bill Goldberg down, and every wrestler that's on the show kind of gives the smile of like, oh, okay, all right, yeah. That's what we're doing.
I said earlier about Kurt Angle's push, but the only reason I compared Gunther's push to Kurt Angle was because they're in the same organization. The real push would have been Bill Goldberg because the guy couldn't wrestle.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and everybody acknowledges that except one person, and that's Goldberg.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I was just trying to get you riled up to bring in.
Yeah, I know. I knew where you were going with that.
But I figured that you weren't going to take the bait. So yeah, Josh is like the biggest Bret Hart fan in the world. And I think Bret Hart sucks. He's not good. So and we're never going to agree on that, but that's fine. Somewhere in Alberta, Canada right now, Bret Hart is sitting there cursing the name of Bill Goldberg, all upset 30 years later. I saw a clip of Bischoff today. I don't know if you've seen it, but Bischoff was asked about like the Bret Hart stuff, and he's like, dude, he's just so bitter. Like, he's like, I don't think it's a bit. He brings it up every time, and I'm like, I got to send this to Josh, and then I'm like, well, I'm just talking to him in a few hours, so I'll just bring it up. But yeah. He's every time.
Also, I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, he is bitter, and like our thing when we go back and forth, like I always make the excuses of like, the guy's had a pretty rough life since like 1999. Like everybody he's loved and known has died. I know, yeah, the guy's bitter. I don't know why it's such.
The guy had some sunny days, man. I mean, let's not forget he had some sunny days. You know what cracks me about Bret Hart is, he repeatedly goes like, I'm the best ever lived, best ever was, will be, all that bullshit that's not true. and he
I love
cries.
how you give the sunny days recollection, and then you try and do the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Butcher the shit out of it intentionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, he does all that bullshit that nobody believes except himself, and he loves pointing out, in 35 years, I never injured anybody in the ring. I was proud of myself. Your fucking brother broke someone's neck, dude. Your brother broke someone's neck.
Oh,
broken neck. Broken neck.
Move on. Do you have anything else?
I have nothing else. That was it. We've gone 26 minutes at this point. The interview's over. One of these days, now that the UFC is on Paramount, one of these days I'll ask, like, when I come up to your place, if we could just live stream my reaction to it, to the UFC pay-per-views, because I'm not even knowledgeable in that sector, but I'm way more knowledgeable in UFC than WWE. So
but you have some pretty good callbacks to WWE, so I do give you props for that.
Many people have called me the Taka Michinoku of
look at that.
YouTubers. The all-time awesome ring entrance of Taka Michinoku. All right, that's all I got. You got anything you want to plug? Like, do you have like a?
No,
you just you quit the business and you're like, you sell.
Yeah,
I don't even know. It's boring. You sit in an office with like 6 people, and then there's like one woman.
Susan.
Count them up. Yeah, Susan's there. I feel like Max Holloway right now, just yelling like, count them up. All 6 of them. I don't know what you do for a living, because you told me 3 times and it's just a boring job and it goes in one ear and out the other. And shame.
This outro is just as good as the intro. You're making me feel like a real special guy right now. You were the oh god, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. Stasiak. Not Stasiak. Steve Stasiak? No. Chris Stasiak? Is any of this? Oh my! Sean Stasiak. Yeah.
Sean Stasiak. You're the Sean Stasiak of sports radio. You had such a bright future, and then you went and got a hair transplant.
I did not.
You had a bright future. You went and got a hair transplant, and then it ruined your career.
Yeah. Well, my voice started to go. The Joe Buck.
All right, I'm gonna end this.
Thank God, dude. Like, just put us out of our fucking misery.
That's Josh Raibick. Goodbye.